Elliott!
Yo, Elliot. This is Jordan Cronin here. I am a fellow YouTube channel member guy, whatever. You can check me out at J Cronin Dream, but whatever. I actually have a good question for you. I bust my ass in the gym. I lift hard, about 45 minutes to an hour, and right afterwards I take a BCAA and glutamine drink, and then I'm on the cardio. I'm doing cardio for about 20 to 30 minutes after every single one of my exercises. And then I also do cardio on off days. And then most of the time, I do an extra session of cardio later in the day after my exercises. So almost about an hour of cardio a day, plus my weight training regimen. I am eating a good amount of food, but it's all really clean food. And I'm also very low carbs, almost like on a keto. I'm going really, really high protein, healthy fats, and veggies. But I don't know what it is. I'm sticking away from soy and everything. I can't get rid of this last layer of fat. Like right over my abs. I can't get that shredded, ripped look that I'm looking for. So I'll show you my abs right now. As you can tell, there's like that layer that just doesn't get them really cut and deep and defined. And that was like flexing as hard as I could right there. If you could help me out, that'd be awesome. And if you could tell me if it might be my genetics or if I'm doing something wrong. Thanks.
Yo Elliot, yo Jordan, what's up? This is Roman from RomanFitnessSystems.com coming at you to answer your question. First off, thank you very much, Elliot, for having me. I'm a big fan of the Yo Elliot segment on your YouTube, so I appreciate the opportunity to share some knowledge. So Jordan, your question was about losing the last few pounds. So as you can see, we are filming this in my kitchen because I want to talk to you first about your diet. Now, you mentioned that you're eating very, very low carbs and very, very high protein. So you mentioned initially that you were actually heading towards a ketogenic diet. So one of the cautions that I would like to just kind of put on the table is about eating too much protein. If you're looking to lose fat via entering ketosis and really burning your fat for fuel, you have to be aware of something called gluconeogenesis. And this is something that happens when protein, if you eat too much protein, studies have shown that that could be any more than 0.8 grams per pound of lean body mass. So if you weigh 200 pounds, this could be as little as 160 grams of protein per day. Can actually break down. It's called gluconeogenesis. So neo is new, genesis is creation, and glucose is obviously glucose. So what happens is your protein will break down into something very, very similar and analogous to, in the body, glucose. So you're going to actually kick yourself out of ketosis. So you need to be really, really careful that when you are on a low-carb diet, if you're intending to do it to control insulin, that's great, but if you're really trying for actual ketosis, you don't want to go too high on the protein because then you're kind of going to cross the line there and be defeating your own efforts by jacking up your protein content too much. So that's one thing. Now the other thing is in terms of your training. So there's a number of factors that we need to look at, but I want to talk to you about my specialty, which is hormone-related training. So if you're having a problem losing the last few pounds of body fat, particularly in your abdomen, we can assume across the board that most people in your situation are going to be dealing with high cortisol. Now, in your particular case, I would say that's definitely true, specifically because of the amount of cardiovascular activity that you're doing. So you're doing cardio after every one of your weight training workouts, on-off days, and occasionally you're sneaking in another bout of cardio. So long-duration cardiovascular exercise, even as little as 45 minutes or more to steady state, can produce extra cortisol. And this is catabolic hormone, which eats away at fat, yes, but muscle tissue. But the way that it affects you hormonally is that it will cause some hormonal fat storage in the abdomen. So if you're getting leaner everywhere else but not your abdomen, what we need to do is just switch up your cardio routine. Doing cardio 8 times a week doesn't necessarily get you shredded. This is something that bodybuilders do, but obviously they have advantages that we don't, be they very freaky genetics or something as simple as taking buttloads of anabolic steroids. So neither of those are true in our case. So instead, what you really need to do is work with your body's physiology and hormonal environment instead of against it. So we need you to cut down on the cardio. I don't want you to do no cardio. I just want you to do less cardio. So for the first 3 to 4 weeks, let's take cardio away on the days that you also do weight training. And then with the cardio that you're doing on your off days, the problem that most people have with cardio is like progressive overload. They want to do more. They think that the best way to lose more fat is to do more cardio. So they start out doing a half an hour, then they get to 35 minutes, and then 45 minutes. Well, follow that to its ultimate conclusion. Eventually, you're just going to be on a treadmill all day long. And we don't have time for that. So instead, what I'd like you to do is make the intensity higher. Now, I'm not talking about intervals per se, although that is an option. What I'd really like you to do is simply take the amount of cardio that you're currently doing and try to do more in that same time period. So if you're doing 45-minute cardio sessions, and normally in that 45 minutes, let's say you're jogging and you get, just for the sake of ease, if you normally get 6 miles, try to get 6.1 or 6.2 or 6.3. And the goal there is just to do more work in less time. So you can either take the distance that you're currently going and try to complete that distance or that amount of work in a shorter time frame, or keep the time frame the same and simply try to do more work in that. And doing that by reducing the cardiovascular activity and increasing the training density, we're going to increase your testosterone levels. It'll help lower your cortisol levels. Something else you want to look at is lactic acid training, and that is training in a way that specifically increases lactic acid, which in turn will help you increase growth hormone, and that will offset cortisol. Now that is a little bit beyond the scope of this video, so if you're interested in that, you can Google lactic acid training. I've got a lot of information on that. I think I did a blog post for Elliot over at his site, so you could look into that. He'll post some links. So, take-home message. If you're looking for ketosis, don't eat too much protein because you can kind of be shooting yourself in the foot there. And it sounds like you're doing just a bit too much cardiovascular activity. So let's tone it down for a few weeks, see how it goes, check back in with Elliot and I, and from there I really think that you'll start to see the definition in your abs that you're looking for. If you need anything else, let us know. Thank you very much to everyone at Yo Elliott. This is Roman from RomanFitnessSystems.com. Thanks.